and her love is steady. She's already making me a better man. Yeah, I should have seen it coming. Could have turned and walked away any day. Yeah, but I would not change nothing. No, as if she wasn't there for me. Yeah, that girl's gonna get the best of me. That girl doesn't need a reason. She could do anything and it's alright, alright.
From sea to shining sea throughout the solar system and extending to interstellar regions beyond, this is the Kevin Smith Show.
Comments and views expressed on The Kevin Smith Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the views of Kevin Smith, The Kevin Smith Show, or its affiliates or sponsors.
Works better when you push the button. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Kevin Smith Show, whoever you are, wherever you happen to be, all around this beautiful planet that we call Earth. Thank you for being here at the Kevin Smith Show. I'm here because you have a right to know and because you matter. One of the people who mattered a great deal to us passed away today. John Vasquez, and on the other side of the break I will be talking about John and our last telephone conversation. I had a lot of telephone conversations with John off air, and of course he was a guest on the air many times, but I will be letting you in on some information from that last telephone conversation on the other side of the break. So you want to be sure and have your ears tuned up for that. We have an update from Jerry and Kathy Wills. I got an email from them yesterday, and it just said finally made it to Lake Titicaca, and then it's on to, and they named the place. Now the reason I'm not naming the place is because remember they talked about going on a further expedition, a different expedition, and that we talked about that it was huge. The story is just huge and pretty dangerous. Actually, now I can tell you it was to be excessively dangerous. After that show, Jerry and Kathy and I talked. They gave me more details, and we talked for a while, and I explained to them precisely why I thought they would not come back from that. And I gave them very specific reasons and explained this is how that stuff works. And I advised them not to do this. And then they decided they would not do it. However, they talked with some other people. I can't give too much of this away, but they talked with some other people, including their financial backer for the expeditions, and told him what I had said and what I had described. And so he worked out a plan where it could be modified and they could still do part of this and not be in danger. And so, in fact, they might even be considered heroes by the country where this is to take place. And so, I mean, officially recognized perhaps as doing something good for the country. And so they are going to embark upon one leg of that, and I will not disclose any more until they are safely home. But they are okay right now. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this. Hi, Kevin Smith here. I want to tell you about Seminar Saturday. Remember when we used to do the live seminars? I used to do live seminars on our TV channel right here at Kevin Smith Show. And I would announce that we had a seminar coming up. I would announce it every single show for like 4 weeks in advance. And I would put it in the K files and announce it. I did everything I could to get people to know about it. Then we'd do the seminar. And after that, I would get angry email from people who said, well, I missed it because I didn't know about it, you didn't publicize it, you ought to tell people about these things. I expect I'm going to get the same response this time, but I hope not, at least not from you, because people have continued to write to me and ask me, when are we going to get an opportunity again to see, and they would name different seminars. The 3 most requested seminars are coming up this Saturday. It takes $10 to get your ticket. All right? What you need to do is click on that banner on my website and get your ticket. $10, you get all 3 seminars. You want to see Mars like you've never seen it before, understand it like you've never understood it before? Mars, the Fading Fog. That seminar is what you need to see. Most people think they know the creation story that is published in the book of Genesis in the Bible because they know what the churches have taught them. You think you know the creation story. I guarantee you, you do not. I guarantee you, unless you've seen this seminar or read my book, you have no idea what that creation story actually says in the Bible. You know the church version of it. But it's published. It's written with words. Words have definitions. They mean what they mean. And that's what we explore in that seminar. No religion. It's not a Sunday school lesson. We're simply looking at what that ancient text actually says, verifiably says. It'll blow you away. It's better than a Star Wars script. Well, we're also going to have a 3rd seminar. It's called Angels, Nephilim, and Anunnaki. Because angels and Nephilim are mentioned so much in our genre of information, I did a seminar about it. You think you know what angels are? I guarantee you, you don't, unless you've seen this seminar. You think they got 2 wings and a halo? Boy, do you need this seminar. You think there's a race of beings called angels? You need this seminar. You think there are choirs of angels? You need this seminar. Furthermore, the Nephilim are also mentioned in Genesis. And you've read all kinds of stuff and heard all kinds of stuff about the Nephilim and who they are and how they got here and all that. And I guarantee you 99.9% of what you think you know is fiction. You need this seminar. It's called Angels, Nephilim, and Anunnaki. These are 3 hard-hitting, powerful seminars packed with information. I mean, slam full of information. And it's verifiable information. You can verify it. And I show you how to do it. But you got to have your ticket in order to get these 3. If you think, well, I'll wait till the next time, you may be waiting past your grave. It'll be a long time before we offer these 3 again. $10, you get all 3. On June 1st, that's this Saturday, June 1st, 2013. Ticket sales close on Friday.
How do I work to get up? Something keeps pulling me down, the atmosphere is burning up. There's plastic all around, and weirdos with thickened heads. We got darkness and lust, shadows full of dread. As I try to converse, wishing away to save us from ourselves, save us from the world that's burning down. Wishing away to save us from ourselves, wishing away.
All right, welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show, and I mentioned at the top of the show we have some sad news today. One of our, I consider him one of our own because he's been a guest so many times on this show and is a friend of mine, John Vasquez. His son telephoned me this afternoon to tell me that his dad had passed away this morning. John was a guest many times. He was a friend. And I often talked with him on the telephone. You know, for most people, I guess really for 100% of the audience, all you really know about the show is the 2 hours that we're on the air. And then there are a lot of people who think, well, that's it. He works 2 hours a day. Well, let me invite you to prepare yourself to talk for 2 hours intelligently about a topic, and find out how much research do you have to do to get yourself ready to do that. And really, most people, it would take more than 1 day for them to get ready to do 2 hours nonstop on air. It's really a busy schedule, and in all of that research time, I also take a lot of telephone calls, and some of you know that. Some of you have called me during the day, and you know, if I'm in the studio, I will answer the telephone and I'll talk to you. If I'm not in the studio, which is possible if I'm doing research, then of course I don't get the call. But John would call me, and sometimes I would call him, and we would talk about his case. John Vasquez is the man who wrote a book called Incident at Fort Benning. Now, Incident at Fort Benning was all about an incident that he said happened to him and all the other men at Fort Benning in 1977. I believe that's correct. 1977. And this incident, according to him, it involved UFOs, what we call UFOs. And it turned into a battle between the U.S. Army and some UFOs, 2 or 3 UFOs. John says he was injured in this battle, and a lot of other people were injured. He wrote the book, and he has spent years, researching, trying to find any little bit of documentation about all of this. And you know, there is some very, very curious documentation, press reports and things like that, not about the battle, but about, you know, another story, like 2 helicopters went down in the rain. According to John, the weather report shows there was no rain that day, and things like that. But he spent years really digging into this, tracking down some of his old Army buddies from Fort Benning and trying to get them to talk. And in fact, got some of them to talk to me. You didn't know about it. It was quite interesting because when I would talk with them, one in particular, I talked with him, and I asked him, did he remember being there? Yes. Do you remember John being there? Yes, I do. We were in the same platoon and so forth. And do you remember this? Do you remember that? And everything was just snap like that. I got an answer. And then I said, do you know John's story about an incident at Fort Benning during that period of time involving UFOs? And the voice on the other end of the line got very nervous. And he said, yeah, I'm familiar with what he says about that. And I said, what do you know about that? Do you remember that? No, don't remember it. Like that. And up to that point had been just a very calm, casual conversation. Now for me, if I were still a police investigator, and if that was the kind of response I got from someone I was interviewing related to some crime, I would consider that very suspicious. Doesn't prove anything, but it certainly, puts my antenna up and makes me suspect things. Makes me suspect a lot of things. And my suspicion, I'll just tell you, my suspicion is that he does remember it and that he did not want to talk about it. So John ran into this kind of stuff for years and years and years. He finally found someone who was willing to talk about it. Command Sergeant Major James Norton. And it was very interesting what James Norton had to say, and some people thought way too fantastic. I asked James Norton, just as I asked John before they went on the air each and every time, are you sure you want to do this? Because this is somewhat like firing a gun. Once you pull the trigger, once you go on the air, you can't call it back. Are you sure you want to do this? Because, you could be in danger if you do this. And both of these men said, yeah, people need to know. And so James Norton came on the show and he talked about it 3 different times, answered questions about it. And he was pretty upfront and pretty brash in some of the things that he said. And you will remember, if you heard those shows, I cautioned him against that on the air. I said, man, don't challenge them to a duel here because you can't win it. And he died 6 months after his first appearance on this show. And he died in very mysterious circumstances. Very suspicious. I would say excessively so. And as far as I'm concerned, I have an opinion about how that happened and basically who's behind it. Not names, but what organizations are behind it. And I think he was, my opinion, just my opinion, I think he was done. I think he was murdered. But I can't prove that. And I'm not trying to. John talked with me on the telephone a lot, and he would share with me different documents that he had found and people that he had talked with and what they had to say. And he had been talking on the telephone with someone that he said, and I have no reason to doubt it, but he said this person was Army intelligence, an Army intelligence officer. And he told me some of the things that they had talked about and her response to that. And, he was trying to pin down, he was trying to get her to pin down and either confirm or deny that UFOs were present at the JAWS exercises, Fort Benning, 1977 or 1978. I'm unclear about the year. I don't remember the year, but somewhere along in there. And she would say, well, yeah, John, just refer to the document you have. Now, this is what he told me. I didn't hear the conversation. And I said, John, you cannot go on the air with that. You simply can't. You go on the air and say that she confirms that there were UFOs there. That was his impression, that she was confirming it. I said, she didn't. She told you to refer to that document, and that document says nothing about UFOs. But it was the way she had said it that made him believe that she was confirming it. And I said, if she really said it that way, and you go on the air with that, it's just that easy for the Army to do two things. One, to simply deny it and say, and even produce the audio tape they've got of them say, where she says, well, yeah, John, just refer to the document you've got. So you see, we told him to refer to the document he's got. Here's that document, and there's nothing in there about UFOs. I said, if it really went down that way, then, and you go on the air, then I think it'll go down like I just described. And you're going to be massively discredited. The second thing they can do is, because you are a veteran and under Veterans Administration health care, they can have you picked up, and they can just say, well, we think the guy has lost his mind, and we're going to give him the care he needs. We want to provide the best we can for our men and women who have served, and pick you up and put you in an asylum, and we'll never see you again. I said, you cannot go on the air with that. He was frustrated, but he agreed. He said, I see what you're saying. And I said, you go on the air with that. I said, I'm not going to let you go on the air with that on my show, but you go on some other show and do that, you're opening yourself up to huge problems. So he agreed. He was frustrated. He was, Now, this was this happened just before his last appearance on this show. His last appearance on this show was just for a few minutes, because he said that he had told me that he did want to tell people what was going on. And so I said, okay, well, I'll call you at the beginning of the show, and we'll put you on, and you can tell. And some of you remember that. I may even dig that up and play that maybe tomorrow night. But he told about this. He told about this, what he thought was a frame-up. And I don't know. Look, you have to understand, I don't know that it was a frame-up. I did not hear their conversation. And there's always two sides to a story, at least two, and sometimes many more. And but I have no reason to doubt him. I'm just relating to you what he told me. And then he came on the air and he told that. A few days after that, I talked with him. He called me again. He had talked with the Army intelligence. As a matter of fact, before he came on and told what had happened, he had gotten an agreement from her to talk with me. She was willing to talk with me. But at the appointed date and time, she disappeared. Couldn't be found to answer the phone. And I told John, I said, see, I told you they wouldn't talk with me because they know what I'm going to ask. And they know I'm not going to take smoke and mirrors. And so then a few days after he was on the air telling about that, I talked with him, and he said he had been on the phone with her again, talking with her, and told me a few things, and just general conversation things that they had talked about. And when that conversation was over, this is the last time that I talked with John Vasquez. When that conversation was over and we were about to hang up, he said something that was really odd. It just struck me as odd at the time. He said, "Don't forget me, Kevin." And I had a reaction to it then. I said, "Well, no, John, I won't forget you." He said, "I mean it, man. Don't forget me." I said, "Yeah, okay." I really didn't know what to make of it. A few days after that, I got notified that he had had a massive stroke and was unconscious and unresponsive. At that point, his final statement to me became more than odd. It became spooky. And I've really thought about it a bunch since then. I haven't said anything about it on the radio till now. I've just thought about it a lot. And it was almost as if either he had facts that something was about to happen to him, or maybe he had some premonition, that something big, something final was about to happen. And I don't know really how to interpret that. But, we were ending just a regular conversation like we always had. And he said, "Don't forget about me, Kevin." Well, no, John, I won't forget about you, man. I mean it, man. Don't forget about me. Okay, John. And I still don't know what to make of that. A little bit more when we come back, and then we'll move on to some other topics. We will be back right after this. every once in a while, our automation software just does weird stuff. I'm becoming accustomed to it, but hey, you know, that's the way it goes. We actually have a caller calling in right now. Caller, I'm going to ask you to hang on for just a moment, and we'll get to you. This is going to be Bring Your Own topic night, and I have another 2 or 3 things to throw out there, but you know, we can open up the phone lines early. But I want to finish telling you about John. I was posting updates on my Facebook, and if you're not a friend, if you're not one of my friends on Facebook, why not? I mean, you know, just go to my website, click the link that says Kevin's Facebook. Go over there and become one of my friends, because I post a lot of updates there. And I've been posting updates about John Vasquez. After he had his stroke, he did not regain consciousness in the hospital. They finally moved him to a nursing home, and then I was informed that, you know, when I was asking about things, I finally somewhere in the shuffle got informed that while at the nursing home, about a week after he got there, he did regain consciousness, but he could not speak. And so he regained consciousness for a short time. And then well, I don't know what happened to the other microphone. It died. So we'll use this mic. So he regained consciousness for a short time, and I don't know how long. And then after that, he lapsed back into unconsciousness, and then today he passed away. So, you know, he was a trooper for the truth, and he was a friend. Rest in peace, John. And to the family, my sincere sympathies. All right, let's go to the phone. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. First name and from where are you calling?
This is Brent from Wyoming.
Hi, Brent.
I agree with you on John completely and his family. You've got my support. But do you remember Jeff Harvey?
Sure.
Interview 3 or 4 months ago.
Well, you're going to have to be more specific. What?
He said that there were ways to. He said psychically attack. You'd use the energies to give people certain diseases, take them out if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Some people think that's fiction. I think that's what happened to John.
I don't know if it was psychically, but psychotronically, it's very well established that the technology exists for them to do that. They can just dial up a frequency, aim it at you, and you will have a heart attack, and you will have then died of a heart attack. They can dial it up and give you a stroke. They can dial it up and give you kidney failure. I mean, it's different frequencies that they can transmit at you, and this is in the hands of our dark side of the military.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, we just lost you. We're getting absolutely no.
They let him go for a while. He said, let's shut him up.
Well, you're going to have to say that again because they shut you up.
I think what happened is that they let John go for a while, and when he got too close to the truth, they said, let's shut him up. That's what happened.
Well, you know, maybe. And, I mean, it's possible. The technology exists, and we know quite well that there are people in our military establishment and in our intelligence communities who are extremely dark side, and that doesn't bother them at all. The guy needs to go. Let's just put him under, and they would do it. And we know they can. We know they have, and they have the technology. But I don't know that is the case here. It is possible,
but that's what I think.
Yeah.
The reason I'm pointing this out is that some people think that is fiction. It's not.
No, it's not fiction. It's sure not. And the business that I am in, and that John was in, and a lot of others are in, is not a game. And I know for a lot of folks out there, the show is entertainment. You know, I know because I get that in emails. Well, I want it to be entertaining. But I'll tell you something. This is not some candy-ass game. No. It is at times dangerous.
You said at the beginning of the show that some people couldn't handle the... people don't realize how much work you put in for one show.
Yeah.
I think at one time you were putting in 20 hours a day and getting 4 hours of sleep, maybe.
Yeah. That's true. And
that's just for one show.
For one show, yeah. Yeah. And what I do now is I do put in 20 hours a day still, but it's not all with the Kevin Smith Show. And that is because we're listener supported, and we have a lot of listeners who have an extra dollar, and they're going to hang on to it come hell or high water. They're not going to support the show, and I have to.
Yeah, I know. But I'm gonna make one more plug for the seminar Saturday.
Okay.
For those of you who want to learn to think for yourselves and begin thinking outside the box, these seminars are a must-see.
You saw them when I did them live, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they are, and you know, I said at the top of the show, you know, these are hard-hitting, power-packed, slam full of information, and
they will challenge you to think.
Yeah, they will do that. And that's not a joke, and that's not hype, folks. I mean, when you come to Seminar Saturday, you better have your seatbelt on.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, you take care, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
All right, folks, we'll go ahead and open up the phone lines. It is BYOT. We'll talk about whatever you wish to talk about. And I've been talking about John Vasquez, who passed away today. John, by the way, served in the United States Army, and we certainly appreciate his service. But John was a trooper for many, 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 many years on this case, and brought a lot of information to us, and exposed himself to a lot of ridicule by a lot of people, but also he exposed himself to a lot of danger. I don't know that John was offed. I mean, you wonder, right? You wonder because of the strange set of circumstances and timings that I just described at the top of the show. But, you know, we don't know. I would prefer to think that is not the case. And the reason I would prefer to think that is because that means that this is all a bit less sinister. And being in a less sinister world is a desirable thing. But I just don't know. But if you have something you would like to say about John and about what he represented, and your thoughts about it, 623-444-5889. 623-444-5889. If he was offed, let me inform those who did it. Okay, I don't know that they did. I mean, I don't know. But if so, number one, karma's not a bitch unless you are. You got a problem. Number two, John is now where he knows all the answers. And if I know John, he's busy exposing you. Laugh. Go ahead, laugh. Yeah, have a good laugh. See you in prison. All right. Look. Oh, they wouldn't go to prison because it would be officially sanctioned kind of stuff, you know. But anyway, I don't know that that's what happened, and I prefer to think it is not the case. So we'll move on from there. But it's BYOT night, and Brent just mentioned seminar Saturday. I want to mention that again. Look, this is not a joke here. There's not one thing we're doing here that is a joke. There are people out there putting their lives on the line to bring you information. And I don't know that that was the result, or that resulted in John's death. But I do know he put his life on the line to bring us information. And it was really bizarre information, but information that had some corroboration. And, you know, but there are people that are doing that right now, putting their lives on the line to bring you information. Please don't trivialize it by thinking it's just entertainment. It's not. This is as real as this stuff gets. I mean, it's real. And it's dangerous sometimes. Kathy and Jerry, their lives are on the line, even though it's far less dangerous now, what they're doing, than had they proceeded with their plans previously. Their lives are on the line. It is dangerous. It's not a joke, and it ain't entertainment. All right, caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Kevin, this is Tony from Norman.
Hello, Tony. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, but I can just barely hear you. I don't know.
I understand that. Yeah,
go. Phone or what?
Yeah, go ahead. Did you have something you wanted to say about John?
I'm sorry to hear about John,
mm-hmm.
and all my sympathies go to his family and friends. And I first heard John, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it was on Jerry Pippen's show.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 6 years ago.
Something like that, because I think that's where I first heard him.
A long time ago.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where I first heard him.
On Jerry Pippen?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I was interviewed by Jerry.
Yeah. You ever met him?
Yes.
He's a very nice guy.
Oh, what a fantastic guy. He's a great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic person. He's just full of joy and energy.
Yeah, he is.
One thing I wanted to mention was on your video channel, on Justin TV, it breaks in and plays a commercial about every 5 minutes or so. I haven't timed it, but
that must
it breaks in and plays a commercial.
Must be something
and
new.
And that just started like last week.
Yeah, I didn't know they were doing that. We'll have to find another option, and Justin, bye-bye. All right, we got a break taking over. I want to thank you for the call, Tony, and we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, right after this.
just me that you're trying to talk to. The closer you get, the harder I fall. I would do anything at all. I would swim across the ocean, fly to the moon. I would walk 1,000 miles just to get to you. I would walk 1,000 miles just to get to you. That I'm relieved to hear your name. The same old stories, nothing else has changed. I'm picking up where we left off. It seems like forever since we've been apart. I would swim across the ocean, fly to the moon. I would walk 1,000 miles just to get to you. I would walk 1,000 miles just to get to you. That I believe that some things are true. It's just you don't know why.
All right, welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show. It is BYOT. Bring your own topic tonight. And I know a lot of you have a great appreciation for John Vasquez. And if you want to talk about John, feel free to do that. I started to tell you something about Seminar Saturday, and then I got sidetracked. But look, here are the seminars, and it's very, very important. This is why I keep talking about it. Ticket sales for this close tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. Okay, so at noon Eastern Time tomorrow, ticket sales are closed. And we have to do it that way. Logistically, we have to close it so that we know how many and who and all of that. We don't have a choice. Now, it's $10. All right, and we've been announcing that Seminar Saturday was coming since last week. Okay, so, you know, if this is your first time to hear about it, sorry about that. We've been announcing it. All right, so get your $10, get your credit card, your debit card, click on that big banner on my website that says Seminar Saturday. Pay you $10. It's going to take you automatically then to a registration page. It's going to ask you 2 questions. It's going to ask you for your name and your email address. And don't try to fake it, because if you do, you're not going to get the information you have to have in order to watch the show. You put in a fake email address, it's going to send that information to that fake address. So put the real deal in there. Okay, the one you use on your, with PayPal. All right, now we're going to have Mars, the Fading Fog. That's one seminar. Mars like you've never seen it before, and you'll think about it like you've never thought about it before. God's in the Garden. Absolutely not a religious seminar. Just because it's got the word God in it doesn't make it religious. That's like saying the Pope burped. Okay? That's not a religious discussion. All right? And then Angels, Nephilim, Anunnaki. Also not religious. But you're going to learn things that will blow your mind. I promise you that. I guarantee you that. You will learn things that will blow your mind. So get your ticket. I don't want to hear on Sunday, well, I didn't know about it. Sorry, all I can do is publicize it. You got to listen. I can put up the road signs. You gotta drive with your eyes open, though. All right, caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Kevin, this is Steve from Georgia.
Hi, Steve.
Well, I did not know John Vasquez, did not know him personally, did not know Mr. Norton personally. I've been living down here in southwest Georgia, right outside the main gate of Fort Benning. I lived on Fort Benning from about December of 1988 until 1995, December of 95, except for fairly frequent trips away, that would carry me away for anywhere from 2 weeks at a time, 6 weeks at a time, maybe 6 months, and then I would come back. And 1995, I was still stationed on Fort Benning until about 2001, and I just retired out here. And Fort Benning in southwest Georgia is the kind of place where a lot of folks who are in the Army, wherever they're from, especially NCOs and enlisted, they generally stick around. They sink enough roots in the area. You can't throw a rock in Columbus without hitting either a veteran or a retiree. And there are a lot of us out here. But I don't know. I don't know exactly where to go with that. But let me say that John Vasquez has become a symbol. For whatever he might have been personally, whatever he was like, or, regardless of his story, whether it was a real event or whether it was mind control or whatever it might have been, John Vasquez stood for something that was unpopular, that there were forces out there that don't like this kind of stuff getting out.
Yeah.
And whenever someone like this passes away, I think in order to make his life meaningful, that those of us who remain need to pick up the burden. If you know a truth, that runs counter to the programmed reality, the narrow paradigm that they want people to live in, and you know something that's different from that, I think it's important to engage the people around you, in your truth. But first of all, you have to know if it's true. In order to speak truth, you have to know truth. And we have to bring truth to everything we do and all our relationships, whether they are working relationships, co-workers, or whether they're people we encounter in social settings outside of work and people in our families. People have got to pick up the slack and begin to carry the torch if they're not doing it already. This is not a time to hide our light under a bushel. This is a time to get out there and engage more people in the things that you know, and the risk be hanged. I'm a healthcare professional, and on my job, I warn people about vaccines. I tell them to avoid them. Don't get it. And I warn them about the dangers, and I tell them the data, the scientific facts that support the dangers of vaccines, even though the medical world is pushing vaccines like they are the savior of the world. Mm-hmm. I warn people about statins. Don't take blood pressure or cholesterol medicine. Just don't do it because it's going to kill you. I warn people about that. And, the medical profession and the hospital that you work for that is supported by the petrochemical industry, big pharmacy, and the revenue that generates, they don't like that sort of thing. But you have to know how to talk to people, when to talk to people, and who to talk to. And it's not just medicine. Maybe your truth involves geopolitical realities. Maybe it involves economics. Maybe it involves UFOs, the paranormal, any of those things that will help people to escape the narrow mental prison, the matrix that holds people into a position of passivity, where their life is just sucked out of them for 70 or however long they live. Their life is pulled out of them by I don't know what to call them, the controllers, and
I know what to call them.
They're gone, and what legacy have they left behind? Maybe they've begotten kids, grandkids, whatever, but what have they given them? Have they turned them onto the truth? Have they shared their truth with them? Have they passed it on? Do you gather your friends together? Do you talk to them? I do. I think it's an important thing. But like I say, you have to know the truth before you can tell the truth. And you have to learn to think and distinguish the truth from a lie. Because I'm here to tell you that the current acceptable mainstream story, I don't care what field it's in. It might be education. It might be history. It's lies. It's all lies.
A lot of it is. Yeah. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it is. You know what they do? They give you just enough of the real facts to build the scaffolding upon which they hang all of the lies. They hang drapes on the scaffolding. And so you get just a little bit of the truth in there, in the official story. It's kind of like the Mars thing and what I say about the atmosphere. The truth is the Mars atmosphere is thinner than Earth. That part of their story is true. The part that's not true is how thin they say it is. You see?
Yeah. And we can bring that to any field we want to. Because, yeah. Kevin, I think our task here on this earth, in my 60-some years of living, as far as I can figure, is to bring a higher level of energy to our current 3D reality. Because there is a downward flow, a downward spiral that wants to keep people imprisoned and keep thought suppressed and keep growth down to a minimum. They don't want people expanding their minds, expanding their consciousness. They suppress all kinds of free energy. You name it, they're suppressing it so they can continue to reap the harvest of our lifeblood, our energy. We're living in a world that is controlled by that.
Steve, I hate to do it, man. We got a break taking over. Hang on. I'll get back to you. We'll be back, folks, right after this.
I'm wondering how to feel. I've got to wonder why I'm it seems that minute by minute I'm falling harder, but I'm getting farther from you. And what really matters, maybe it was destiny or maybe it was you and me, but it just feels right. So how can you fight? Just let it be. Why won't you just say maybe to me? Maybe is all I'll ever need. Why won't you just say maybe to me? Maybe is all I'll ever need from what you see in me. Is this for real? Because I'm losing it here for you and me. Need my, want my, try my, everything you gotta wanna be with me. Cause I don't think that I could take the reason why every time I find the time to get inside my mind, I wanna run, I wanna hide, I wanna bleed, I wanna die. Can't you see how much you mean to me? Can't you see? Oh, I give you everything. Can't you see? I would do anything to make you fall in love with me. Why won't you just say maybe? Maybe is all I ever need. Why won't you just say maybe? Maybe is all I'll ever need. Maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. Why won't you just say maybe, yeah? Maybe is all I'll ever need from you. You don't know why.
Welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show. It's BYOT, Bring Your Own Topic night. And we opened up the show with a very sad update and information about John Vasquez. We can talk about that, or we can talk about whatever is on your mind within the world of the strange and the unexplained. On the telephone with me from Georgia, Steve. And Steve, we had to cut you off because of the break, so the mic is yours.
Right, and I'll kind of close it down here as usual. I'm a little windy, but I think our task is to bring a higher level of energy and consciousness to this paradigm that we find ourselves birthed into. We are born into a world we did not create. It was created. It was already here when we got here. But our job is to bring a higher level of energy to it, and to focus that energy into areas where it's broke. So you don't fix things by everybody joining hands and singing Kumbaya. You don't fix things with touchy-feely. This is no time for easy riding and touchy-feely stuff. This is a time to engage the issues with your consciousness and with the truth. And by the truth, I don't mean hearsay. I don't mean second and third hand information. I mean stuff that you research and you find out for yourself that you know is true. Mm-hmm. And when you find that there's something that the current paradigm is putting out and forcing down the throats of humanity that is destructive to humanity, mm-hmm. and you learn that that's wrong, and you find an alternative to it that gives life instead, then build that. Build on that. Construct that separate reality. You do it. Gandhi said, become the change. The change you want to see, you be that change. And, you begin. Buckminster Fuller said, don't blast against a system that doesn't work. Instead, build a second system that does, and people will move into it. There's a way of presenting the truth that will draw people to the truth and wake them up and lure them out of the hypnotic state that the education system and the mainstream media and the entertainment industry puts people into. You know, it changes their entire focus from being active, engaged people into passive people who just want to be handed things and entertained all the time and lulled to sleep and kept comfortable. So it's our job, you know, to pick up that torch and move with it, move forward with it. But first you got to pick up the torch, and you got to figure out which torch is lit and which torch is not.
You're exactly right. Okay, Steve, thanks for the call, man. It's always very interesting.
All right, Kevin, keep up the good work.
Thanks. 623-444-5889. 623-444-5889. I'm having difficulty seeing everything that's on the monitor on the right side over there. Now I'm fixed. Okay. Now, for those of you who have just joined us in this second hour, welcome aboard. I'm delighted you are here, and you have my sympathy for whatever it is that kept you away from the first hour. Hope it never happens to you again. But it's BYOT night. That's Bring Your Own Topic night. And we can either talk about John Vasquez, whom we talked about at the beginning of the show, or we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, all right? And if you are not in the USA, if you're not in Canada, you can call our phone number. It will work, but we understand that can be expensive, making international long-distance calls. And so we have an additional option for you, and that is the flash message. Just go to my website, scroll down, you'll see a link right above that picture about tonight's show. It says flash message, but you must be outside the USA and outside Canada. If you're in the USA or Canada, we got telephones, 623-444-5889. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Hi, Kevin. This is Gary in Nebraska.
Hello, Gary.
And I'll try not to be too long here.
Okay.
First of all, Steve has enumerated a whole bunch of good points.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could think like he does. I don't, but I'll make the best that I can of that.
All right.
However, I'm really feeling badly about John Vasquez passing. I think we lost a good friend. I don't say positively, but I'm inclined to think that's exactly the case.
Mm-hmm.
Related to that, I want to express the thought that, and it isn't original to me, anytime we lose somebody, I was come to understand that we lose an encyclopedia, and he represents a very strong case for an encyclopedia being lost to us. And gosh, I don't know how many more of those we can afford to lose.
Well,
having said that, well, I guess there's not a whole lot more I can add, but I will say this. I very much appreciated those programs that have to do with on Saturday. I've seen all of those, and they're very good. And what I've discovered in my lifetime is that there are people in this world that don't want to know what they don't know. And I think that's pretty darn pathetic. But that's life. What are you going to do about it?
That's true.
We'll just go on and do the best we can there as well. So anyway, thanks for your thoughts. I enjoy everything you have to say. You say a lot of good stuff that I can't myself express very well or often enough. And I'm glad you can, and thanks a whole lot. Enjoy your show. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Gary's been a fan of the show for a long time. I don't know how far back he goes, but I'm not sure that he goes all the way back to the beginning in 2000, but he started listening to this show a long time ago. and always enjoy hearing from him. He made a comment. He said, I don't know how many more of those we can afford to lose. But folks, wake up. I know exactly what he meant. But wake up and understand you are going to lose them all. Every single one of us that's doing this stuff, you're going to lose us. We're not immortal. We're all in the process of dying. Every one of us. And so you will lose them all. That's why it is so important to pass this on, like Steve talked about, because there's got to be somebody after me. There's got to be somebody after John, somebody after Command Sergeant Major Norton. You see, you are losing us all right now, because everybody is in the process of heading towards the grave. So you got to pass it on. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Hello, Kevin. This is Doc from Arkansas.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But the day we're accepted into this world, that's the day we started counting down when we're heading into the grave.
That's right. Yeah.
And the only thing we can do is try to live the best path we can for our lives.
Have you ever heard somebody say about someone else, well, he lived a long life? You ever heard that?
Yes, I have.
Let me tell you how long your life is, folks. If you live to be 500, which you won't, but if you did, your entire life fits on the hyphen between two dates. That's how long it is. It's very short. Yeah. What's on your mind, Doc?
What was on my mind? I was going to give you a holler and talk to you about the upcoming seminar.
Uh-huh.
Now, I was wondering, on the seminar, is that only going to be for video, or is it going to be just like your radio show I listen to every night?
No, it's video.
Strictly video, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's why I was wanted to ask that question, sir.
All right.
Everything. I just want to ask that question because I'm going to be leaving out tomorrow. That's why I want to find out.
All right, man. Thanks. You're headed to the hospital, aren't you? You're headed to the hospital, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am.
You going to have surgery?
That's what they're wanting to do, so we'll find out if they do everything that they said they got me scheduled for, that I won't be home until Monday.
Well, I wish you...
That's what they hopefully do.
I wish you all the best.
Well, buddy, you be safe, and I will talk to you as soon as I can.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
623. Doc's been listening to us for a long time, too. And it's good to hear from folks. A lot of times, we go for a long time, I don't hear from somebody. And I know you think that when I say that this is like a family, I know you think, oh, that's just talk. Believe me, it's not. My actual family are thousands of miles away from me. And meeting with you here and getting to know you here and through the show, you've become like my family. And so if I don't hear from somebody for a long time, I worry about them. I really do. And, my first experience with that was when Michelle, one of our listeners in Canada, had a heart attack and died. And it affected the entire audience. We had people calling in crying from all over the audience when I announced that Michelle had passed away. And it is like a family. And, I want the show to be entertaining, and I try to make it so. I want the show to be informative, and we hit that target almost all the time. And so informative and entertaining, but there's a dynamic behind it even more than that. And that is we kind of get to know each other, a little bit. And we get to be friends via the show. That's how I met John. John Vasquez. And he and I never met John in person. I met him over the telephone through the show. And we became friends that way. And, it is possible. And there are other people. It's pretty exciting, too, for me, like when I go somewhere, if I speak at a conference or if I attend a conference or I cover a movie premiere or something like that, and I meet people that I have talked to on the phone, but I've never met them in person, that's pretty exciting, too. And I always enjoy that. Well, it's BYOT night. Bring your own topic. We've been talking about the passing of John Vasquez. I got a telephone call today from his son this afternoon, informing me that his dad had passed away in the morning, this morning. And very sad news. I think that we have lost a lot in the loss of John Vasquez. Whether you thought his story was an actual account of an actual event that happened, or maybe you thought it was some kind of a memory that had been implanted in him by mind control. John had questions about that himself and voiced that right here on the show. To him, it's a real memory, but he said, I can't say for sure that they didn't implant that memory. Maybe it happened, maybe it's implanted, don't know. But to him, it was a real memory. I mean, that's the way it felt and looked and seemed to him. It was just like all other memories. And so regardless of what you think about, what's the classification of that information, or categorization. I don't want to use the word classification because that has military and intelligence meanings as well, and I don't mean those. So categorization, regardless of how you categorize his information, you have to say that John was a trooper. I mean, he stayed after this for decades and developed actually some very interesting bits of corroboration. And of course, one of the most outspoken bits of corroboration was Command Sergeant Major James Norton. And he just came right out and said, yes, it is true. I was there. This was my job. Here's what I did. Here's where I was standing. Here's who was standing next to me. And it happened. You remember that? And he joined the battle after he was providing security for a VIP and government VIP who said, we don't need to be here. Let's get the heck out of here. And him and his aides took off. And Norton and a couple of other guys providing that security for them were left standing there. They joined the battle, according to Norton. He was injured. He said he had his medical records that show the injuries, that detail the injuries. And but he was very outspoken about it. And, did it actually happen? I can't prove that. I think it did, though. I think it did. Because the two people who stuck their heads up and said, it happened, are gone now. One under definitely very mysterious circumstances, and the other one under questionable circumstances. So I think there might be something to it. And, I just have this to say to anybody that's listening right now who had anything to do with the demise of either of these guys, if you did, okay, you're really dumb. I mean, don't you realize the huge huge questions their deaths raise and the curiosity that raises in the public mind? Don't you realize you just opened a can of worms that you can never, ever completely cover up now? You know what happens with a can of worms? You pour them out, they dig into the dirt, and they go in all directions. So, if there was anything nefarious about that, well, I guess it will begin popping soon. If it wasn't nefarious, if it was just natural causes, that we will find out as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is BYOT, Bring Your Own Topic Night. Now, I know that those of you who are interested in UFOs, extraterrestrials, psychic phenomena, astral travel, I know, all of that stuff, anomalies on other planets, I know for sure that there's stuff you've been watching on YouTube and reading on the internet already this week that has you curious about some stuff. Why don't you pick up your phone and call? Are you scared of what? You scared to speak out? They already own you. You are already owned. 623-444-5889. 623-444-5889. That would be the number to call. And let me remind those who are outside the USA and outside of Canada that you may call that number, but you may also use our flash message option. If you're in the USA and you try to use the flash message option, I never see it. Okay? It won't stop you from using it. It stops it from getting to me. Okay? All right. I want to move into kind of a historical blast from the past here. And I want to talk about something that happened in 1977. And the reason I picked this is because, number one, it is important. Number two, it's interesting. Number three, this happened at about the same time John Vasquez says that battle at Fort Benning took place. 1977. Eventful year. There's an organization called SETI. You're familiar with them, right? And they are out there, looking for radio signals, broadcasts from space, from extraterrestrials. It's a search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So, in their search, 1977, they got an intelligent signal. How would you know that it's intelligent? Well, even if you don't know Morse code, if you hear it, you know that that is some type of intelligent signal. You know that that's some kind of communication, even though you can't understand it, right? We'll come back to that right after this call. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
This is Tom from New York. All you talk of the family and me listen silently for so long, I figured I'd call in and say hi to everybody. And I wanted to get your thoughts on one particular idea. I've been fascinated with John.
Okay. All right. Hang on, and let me tell you, something is wrong with your phone. It's breaking up really bad. So why don't we disconnect and you call me back and see if we have a better connection. Can we do that? Yeah, can you call me right back? All right. I hope he could hear me. I hope he can understand. and caller, I hope you can hear me now. Okay, your phone was breaking up so bad we could not understand what you were saying. We were just getting like that. So please call me back. Let's see if we get a better connection, and I'll take your call. Now, we're going to have to step away for a break, but you can go ahead and call me during the break. We'll see what happens, okay? This is BYOT night. This is Bring Your Own Topic night. And the telephone number is 623-444-5889. I sincerely hope that caller will call us back, because I think I heard him say he had never called in before, but had been listening for a long time. But you could hear it was hard to understand anything out of that because it was breaking up so bad. So caller, don't feel that I just hung up on you because I didn't want to hear from you. I hung up because I do want to hear from you. It sounds kind of paradoxical, doesn't it? But I hung up so you could call me back, and let's see if we get a better connection. All right, we'll be back right after this.
Making me lonely, you are the only
right, welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show, and we have our caller back online. I asked him if he had said this was his first time to call, and he said no, he didn't say that. So I really could not understand, and hopefully this is a better connection. Are you with us, caller?
Yes, I am. You hear me better or no?
Yeah, a little bit. Can you tell us your first name and where are you calling from?
This is Colin from New York.
Oh, okay. I know who you are. You've called us before.
Yes. Yeah, I listen and don't call often. I used to call sometimes, but yeah, tonight I just wanted to let you know that a lot of us, I'm sure a lot of us are still listening.
Yeah. Okay. What's on your mind?
Giants and movies that bleed maybe bits of the truth, like the Stargate movies, this sort of thing. I wonder what your opinion, especially about giants, are, the reality of them, and the possibility that we could even see them in our lifetimes.
Okay, well, what do I think about, are they real? Absolutely. Absolutely. The bones, the skeletons of giants have been discovered all over the world, and literally, I would say probably hundreds of them have been discovered right here in the United States of America. There are news reports of their discoveries. Some of those news reports even talk about, having a doctor look at them and measure them and so forth and verify that it's human skeleton and of somebody that's, 9.5 feet tall or 12 feet tall. And this goes back into our history. These are not legends. These are actual events that happened, actual skeletons that were dug up. Something like 60 were dug up out of one cave out in California.
But I heard Klaus Dana speak of one giant found in Ecuador that was 7 meters. 20, almost 23 feet tall.
Yeah, absolutely. He talked about that right here. He talked about that right here on this show. But here's the deal: did they really exist? Absolutely. Now the mystery is what has happened to all of these skeletons. They all disappear. All the skeletons disappear. Who's doing that and why? Why don't they want us to know? All right, now, are we ever going to see them in our lifetime? Don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I start thinking these fantastic thoughts that are, and it's so funny because it'll be the guest that comes on that seems so far-fetched, that seems so unbelievable that, you listen for a decade and then you start seeing some of that ring true. And then there's the other guests that seem so solid, so scientific, that you're just waiting for over a decade for them to come to some fruition with it. And obviously some of this stuff, like for instance, Brooks Agnew, how Earth comes to our mind. Seems like we've been going around with this story for a long time. And I want the guy to get some kind of result, some kind of something,
Yeah, well, he wants it too. And you're talking about the expedition to the inner Earth.
We want to know more than we know, I guess, is essentially the idea at its essence,
Mm-hmm. Well, and, we do get impatient because we want all the answers now. But let me give you an explanation about that was given to me by a basketball coach when I was in school. And I was frustrated because I was having trouble with doing free throws. No problem doing a free throw, just having a lot of problems making the basket when I did a free throw. And he said, it takes patience, man. And I said, well, yeah, but I've been working on this, and I need to be able to hit at least 8 out of 10. He said, well, if you do, you'll be a star. And he said, but it takes patience. He says, like a steam locomotive. If a locomotive had all the steam that it was going to take to go from New York to Los Angeles, if you loaded it up with all of that steam right at the beginning, it would explode.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it takes patience. And what happens is the truth about things comes to us at what we consider to be a slow pace. But we consider it to be a slow pace because we have such a fast life. You know, we're not here long.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know, and I'm going through it a little bit right now. I'm up against maybe losing my house. I've been walking for most of the year for a car issue, an insurance issue. But let me tell everybody this. You know, this has been one of the roughest years of my life, and I have to tell everybody what I always have been saying since I've been gone is that you keep love in your heart and keep each other relevant. Keep each other relevant. We all matter. Every one of us does. We can't, live in each other's pocket, obviously, but we all do matter, But let me let the next caller call, and it was great talking to you again, and I'm glad I got the nerve up to just dial tonight. It had a lot to do with your words. So.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm glad you got the nerve up to dial too, and some more of you need to do the same thing. Get the nerve up. Give us a call. 623-444-5889. And Colin, hey, he said it. We all matter. Look, we live in a world that's stratified, where they want you to think that guy matters more than this guy, who matters more than that one. Horsepucky. We all matter, period. That's it. We all matter. Everybody you meet's an expert, truly an expert. And see, I'm not an expert at telephones. I messed that one up. But everybody you meet's an expert at something. And one guy is an expert at brain surgery, and another guy is an expert at making the best corn dogs in the state. Brain surgeons eat corn dogs. We can't survive without each other. That's a fact. Caller, you're live on the Kevin Smith Show. Your first name and from where are you calling?
Hi, this is Adele. I'm calling from Hawaii.
Adele. All right.
How are you?
I am doing fabulous. How's the weather in Hawaii?
It's overcast. Been rainy today here where I am. Clear on the other side.
I think I talked with you before, and I told you I've been all over the world, but I've never been to Hawaii.
Ah.
I need to come to Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm sure you would like the tropics since you were in the Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, in honor of the man that you are honoring today, who was a witness to, extraterrestrial interaction with U.S. military, I have a sighting that if you want to take the time, I'll just tell you about it.
Please do.
All right. This was... I'm getting a feedback here. I'm hearing myself over and over again, but anyway, I'll keep going here. Back on July 21st in 2012, we had that rim pack exercise going on out here around the Hawaiian Islands. That's I'm sure you're aware of what it is.
Yeah.
And, just to start, the press releases from the Navy here in the local papers told us that, we'll be 100 miles offshore. We won't be bothering you. We'll be 100 miles out doing all this stuff. So anyway, they were all over us, basically. And so this Saturday evening, I was sitting out on a porch which faces out over the ocean. I'm about 3 miles back from the ocean, and it was late afternoon, and I was just sitting there looking out. The sky over the atmosphere over the ocean was extremely hazy. It was like a combination of just low cloudiness and haze and fog from the volcano, as well as the Navy was apparently using that material that they spray out to cloak a ship from radar. I forget what it's called. It's like glass particulate.
Okay.
So the air was as bad as it could possibly be out there. You know, it was pretty miserable looking. And they did a lot of that over that long period that they were active out there. And so I was looking out, and I was just trying to do a meditation, and I started to notice white patches, and it was like a visual thing. I was seeing white, kind of cloudy-looking patches, as if it were something going on with my eyes, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got up and I walked to the edge of the porch and looked out towards the ocean, and I saw a aircraft carrier sitting out there, probably no more than 5 miles out, maybe. And I got suspicious because, of course, I listened to shows like yours and others, and hear, you know, men talk about all these things that go on in the world, mm-hmm. in the military and intelligence and espionage and all of it. And so I was suspicious. I thought, you know, they must be using some kind of, you know, energetic devices, and was producing this visual effect for me. And anyway, looking at them, they then started to move. They were stopped, and they were just parallel to shore. And, you know, after a few minutes, they started to move, and they were moving south. And I came inside the house and got on the computer and started looking on, looking for web pages, you know, to try to identify the boat, because I've never been in the military. I'm not familiar with all the boats and everything, and mm-hmm. I tried to pin it down what I was looking at, and I'm, you know, 100% sure it was an aircraft carrier. And so I went back out about twilight and looked again, and this was the most surreal thing I've probably ever seen. The air over the ocean was very bad. There was a gigantic crescent moon that was this dirty, smoky, orange-red hanging over the ocean, and it was huge, and it was just straight out in front of me. And the sky up above was open. There was no cloud cover in a big radius around where I was, but, you know, in every other direction there was, you know, just solid cloud cover. Mm-hmm. And then I looked down, and then the aircraft carrier was right back where it was. And, you know, I'm really, many of us here were wondering what kind of equipment they were operating, you know, being right offshore of us. We were all wondering. People had their suspicions that, you know, there were things being aimed at us and all that, so directed at us. And so anyway, I'm staring there at the boat and the sky.
Adele, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Can you hang on and tell us the rest of this after the break?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold, and we'll get right back to you after this break, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, folks, we do have a break coming up in just a few seconds. And we'll get back to Adele in Hawaii on the other side. Hi, Kevin Smith here. I want to tell you about Seminar Saturday. Remember when we used to do the live seminars? I used to do live seminars on our TV channel right here at Kevin Smith Show. And I would announce that we had a seminar coming up. I would announce it every single show for like 4 weeks in advance. And I would put it in the K files and announce it. I did everything I could to get people to know about it. Then we'd do the seminar, and after that I would get angry email from people who said, well, I missed it because I didn't know about it, you didn't publicize it, you ought to tell people about these things. I expect I'm going to get the same response this time, but I hope not. At least not from you. Because people have continued to write to me and ask me, when are we going to get an opportunity again to see, and they would name different seminars. The 3 most requested seminars are coming up this Saturday. It takes $10 to get your ticket. All right? What you need to do is click on that banner on my website and get your ticket. $10, you get all 3 seminars. You want to see Mars like you've never seen it before, understand it like you've never understood it before. Mars, the fading fog. That seminar is what you need to see. Most people think they know the creation story that is published in the book of Genesis in the Bible because they know what the churches have taught them. You think you know the creation story. I guarantee you, you do not. I guarantee you, unless you've seen this seminar or read my book, you have no idea what that creation story actually says in the Bible. You know the church version of it. But it's published. It's written with words. Words have definitions. They mean what they mean. And that's what we explore in that seminar. No religion. It's not a Sunday school lesson. We're simply looking at what that ancient text actually says, verifiably says. It'll blow you away. It's better than a Star Wars script. Well, we're also going to have a 3rd seminar. It's called Angels, Nephilim, and Anunnaki. Because angels and Nephilim are mentioned so much in our genre of information, I did a seminar about it. You think you know what angels are? I guarantee you, you don't, unless you've seen this seminar. You think they got 2 wings and a halo? Boy, do you need this seminar. You think there's a race of beings called angels? You need this seminar. You think there are choirs of angels? You need this seminar. Furthermore, the Nephilim are also mentioned in Genesis. And you've read all kinds of stuff and heard all kinds of stuff about the Nephilim and who they are and how they got here and all that. And I guarantee you 99.9% of what you think you know is fiction. You need this seminar. It's called Angels, Nephilim, and Anunnaki. These are 3 hard-hitting, powerful seminars packed with information. I mean, slam full of information. And it's verifiable information. You can verify it. And I show you how to do it. But you got to have your ticket in order to get these 3. If you think, well, I'll wait till the next time, you may be waiting past your grave. It'll be a long time before we offer these 3 again. $10, you get all 3. On June 1st, that's this Saturday, June 1st, 2013. Ticket sales close on Friday. All right, welcome back to the Kevin Smith Show. We're on Final Approach, and we have on the telephone with us Adele from Hawaii. So Adele, had to cut you off because of the break, but you were about to tell us about something surreal.
Yes, and that was a kind of a cliffhanger moment where you cut.
Yeah.
And, So just to review, what I was looking at here at twilight out towards the ocean was some of the worst air quality out there overlying the ocean, with cloud cover all around except for a large circle overhead, which was clear and open, with a star field and clean looking and everything, the air, and clear, and an aircraft carrier out there about 8 miles away from me, just offshore. And what happened was two lights appeared. They were higher than the boat, not by much. They appeared to be from the front of the boat, between me and the boat, and between the two of them, they covered up about a quarter of the ship's length. And they were brilliant white. One popped in. It was just completely instant. One popped in, and then another one popped in next to it that was a little bit higher, a little bit in front, overlapping it, a little bit bigger, and just instantly popped in. And then they were like bursts almost, and very intense white light. That white light was not distorted or discolored like everything else out there over the ocean and the whole entire setting crescent moon. And then what happened was, I'm looking at some notes here because I finally did have to write it down because it was all driving me crazy what I saw. They weren't points of light, but they were large circles. As I said, they did cover up about a quarter of the length of the boat. And the water below wasn't reflecting anything. I didn't see any light reflecting off the ship or off the water from these two things. And they were perfectly round and solid light.
All right, now when you say they were perfectly round, do you mean like a ball or like a disc?
Yes. No, I didn't perceive them as spheres. I didn't get any, dimensional, spherical, they didn't have that look from the way from where I was looking. But they were like straight on, like facing straight to shore. And
so they were round like a plate.
Yes.
So they were round like a plate.
Perfectly round. Precision round. Okay. And the thing is, there was no sound. There was no percussion. There was no vibration. There was no smoke. There was no pressure changes. There was no fire. There was no fade from a light being turned on and off. And from what I understand of lasers, I wouldn't have been able to see a laser anyway. So these things did change. They just popped in. They were right there. They were solid, and then they both expanded out. Just a few seconds apart, they both expanded out and got bigger. And I almost saw lines, radiant lines from the center, but they kept a perfect circle and edge on them. And then they popped out instantly. And so, I really thought about it, no sound, no vibration, no percussion, no pressure changes, no vapors, no smoke, no beams from the lights. I came to the conclusion that they were ETs. And, I sent this story out to in a number of directions, to a number of different sources, asking for their opinions as to what this could be, and was there any equipment that the Navy could have been operating that would have have, like appeared this way to me, and everyone on shore, and I never got any answers back from anyone. And, I wasn't asking my mother or somebody who wouldn't know. I was asking people who would know. And I never got anything back. The only suggestion I got was that they were ETs that were working with the Navy.
Well, and they could be. We have heard stories about that, and that may be exactly true. Maybe they are.
And why they came right to shore to appear like that, I don't know. But, it just, it was quite startling. I was quite unnerved for quite a while.
Well, now you have seen UFOs. Had you ever seen them before? Had you ever seen you had?
Yes, I'm quite comfortable with it, and I'm it's not a problem, and I just hope that if I do get to meet someone eventually at close range, that I just hope that I don't go into terror, I hope I can keep my cool and just say hello, thanks for coming, do you have any questions I can answer for you, and be grounded. But this was really very unnerving. So anyway, I'm still in the opinion now, since no one has ever suggested what else could have been going on. I mean, nothing that anyone suggested came close. I checked out things that people mentioned, and
so it's E.T. Well, it might be, and it's entirely plausible that it could be. Adele, I have to run because we're at the end of the show, but I want to thank you for your call from Hawaii this evening.
You're welcome. I hope everyone enjoyed that story and got something out of that.
Yeah. Well, I know I did, and I bet you a whole bunch of people did. And probably a bunch of people in Hawaii listening saw what you saw. We may hear from them. We'll see. Thanks for the call. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this evening. We are out of time. And, I wish we had more time, but we don't. Again, my sympathies to John Vasquez's family. I want to thank everybody who called in this evening. You made it happen. My friends call me Steel Eye. My enemies do too. You may call me whatever you wish to call me. Just keep coming back again and again and again. Until next time, so long, everybody.